May 4th, 1894, Lep Fair Day. My dearest Nora, as I did not go to the fair today, I just thought to answer your long wished-for letter, which I received on Saturday last. I'm glad to hear by it you and Ellie arrived safe and in good health. I am very sorry how Ellie was so long seasick, as she always disliked it. We did not think ye would have such hard times going across. We were saying all the time that ye would have great comfort lying on the bed, but I can see it is quite contrary with ye. Well, Nora, they got very strict on the emigrants. I am very glad you send such a newsy letter. Everybody like it. Well, Nora, I felt as if you were with me in reading your letter. It was the longest letter I ever read. All the neighbors around come to the house to hear it read. They speaks about you every hour and tries to carry on some of your old frolics, and especially Mikey. He felt awful lonesome for you, and so did every one of them. As you know, it is hard to make them cry, but whatever interest they took in you, they were very lonesome for you. Uncle Michael did not come into us since you went. He would not come. He was scolding us for leave you to go. He never believed you would go. Mary and Tullig and Mrs. Crowley and the Lawlers, they were all vexed as ye did not go east before ye went. They expected ye every day. They would hardly speak to us now. Dear Nora, yesterday was a holiday. I went to the 10 o'clock Mass. It was a lovely day. It was 5 o'clock when I come home. It was a great day in Lep. I had never seen so many shapers from all parishes. I was speaking to Tatey Donovan and his wife. They felt awful lonesome for ye. They told me that Julia Hayes at Fro is home this past week. Ellie knows her well. I heard her speak of you often. She is staying at Glandore. I think she ain't feeling very well. She's going to stay there all summer. Well, Nora, we regretted you and Ellie very much yesterday. The Slippers and all the fellows around as usual, they went in drinking. They would not leave me home until I should go with them and Tatey Don and his wife. They had a merry day singing and drinking until night. I wish you could see them when they come home, and especially Tim and Mikey. All the Slippers come to our house. I know you would laugh at them. Jack Minahane was going foolish about the room, just like Ash Wednesday morning. Oh, I wish you could see him. Dan Minahane took me by the hand, and I thought he would never let it go. Only talking about you. He was so fond of you. So, in respect to you, I should have a trait from him. It is seldom that you would not be at the fair. Mary Hayes and Julia Mick are gone to the fair today. It is raining now. I would answer your letter sooner, only I was waiting until I knew more about the fair to tell you all the news. Julia Hurley was drawing porter in Mary Ann's, so you may be sure Tatey did not pay for any half-gallon. Dear Nora, I don't think you said half enough in the letter. You never said anything about Jamesy Donovan. I heard he wrote home and said he was very sorry as he did not go with ye. You did not say whether Mary knew you or not, or you knew her. It was soon they sent you work in after going. Hoping you will get along well with it. I am very sorry to tell you that Johnny Bryan is very ill since that night you were going. He is not expected to recover. Dr. Driscoll is attending him. And Thursday, the 16th May, Jerry Hayes was coming home from the break with a bundle of furs, and he had a scythe in his hand and the bundle on his back. He got a stumble and he fell. His knee came down in the edge of the scythe. His knee is cut through. He was roaring in the brake for an hour before any person assisted him. So all the men of the land was in the bog, only Teddy Hayes. He ran for the doctor immediately so they should go to Acres Bog for help to bring him home on a door. So they all thought he was dead, that he would not live at all. And his parents would not leave him into their own house at all. And Mary Collins did not like to leave him either. So Mother told her to leave him in because James was not at home at all. So she left him in, and he is there still. He cannot stir the leg at all. The doctor attended that evening and is attending him since. He put 9 stitches in his knee, so he is in an awful state, the poor fellow. He will never again have the use of his leg. We are very sorry for him. He used to come down every evening and bruise the furs with Father. They are scolding one another now again, just the same as before about the doctor's payment. Nora, I would like very much to get your greenhorn picture, if you could get it taken. I forgot to say that Curly Connolly's mother was anointed on Sunday last, and Peggy Carty also. Curly speaks about you often, and Peggy also. The Bohanes were vexed as ye did not go to see them before ye went. Dan Hickey went off the 1st of May. Johnny is not cutting the turf in Acres at all. It is in Acres we have the bog taken this year. We haven't cut it yet. I'd like to tell you everything, as I know you would like to hear all about home affairs. Dear Nora and Ellie, we had no fun since ye went. The fellows do be bowling every Sunday. They removed to Bonfoon Road. Tommy Bennett and his crew did not come over since the Sunday in the Barreen before ye went, but Bridget, John and Julia come down every Sunday since. Only last Sunday they visited us up last Sunday. So Mary Hayes and Ellie and me, we went up. They were talking all the time about you and your career of life. They read your letter. It made them laugh. Dear Nora, we expect little Denny home this month coming on. Well, I guess I have said all this time until I hear from you again. Write me a long letter and tell me everything. I don't know will Mary answer my last letter. I'm expecting she will. Well, Nora, I am after my dinner now. A nice dinner, too. Hasty pudding and goat's milk. I'd like you would have a part of it. Hope and Dan, Mary and Julia, Agnes, Ellie, and yourself are well. I am your ever-loving sister, all alone, far away from each other. I remain your fond Katie. I sends best love to all. Goodbye to all. Write immediately. My dear sister Nora, yesterday I received a letter from you. I'm glad to learn in it ye are all quite well. As for us, we are just as you had seen us. I am glad you likes the place so well. You are very lucky, and to get a place so near to Mary's. Be contented and cheer up. Don't be lonesome at all. You did not say how many in the family in the house, or what family they are. As you know, Nora, I'd like to know everything about you. This day, 3 weeks, I wrote a letter to you before, but I can see by this letter you did not receive it. I told you all about Lep Fair. It is just now Mickey has gone out after reading your letter, and he laughed enough at it when you inquired about the horse and Fury and Boyo. The horse won't foal at all. Father says now, when we do be joking him, that it was a false springing she had. Well, Nora, next Sunday will be St. John's night. I'm intended to go to Ross and Tim. Danny Murnane did not cross the water at all. We found out where he was. He is working with Tom Springs at Ross. We expect to see him next Sunday. Nora, I have no strange news worth relating presently, except that Old Harry was buried 2 weeks ago. Aunt Julia is very lonesome for him. Aunt Nora came to see her last Sunday. I had seen Big Den today. I think he looks better without the whiskers. Nora, you never said anything about B. Crowley or Mary Keane's family, or did you see him at all? Nora, please ask Mary what clothes did she send by Dan Keane that time he comes home? I'd like to be sure of it, as you can tell her what we got. Don't forget this now, and write and tell me all and everything. I thinks it too seldom you writes. Well, Nora, I do be dreaming about you and Ellen every night, and Mother thinks she ought to call you every morning to rise for her. She is very weak and downhearted. As you know, she would want you always, or someone like you, because she is not able to stand tramping, as you call it. Johnny and family are living in the big house now and have the grass of acres let to Miss Collins for £100 for 2 years. This is what we have heard. Himself and Joanna are now friends again. They are walking about the farm this evening. It's a lovely evening. You know, Nora, it's a lonesome evening to have I get an opportunity of writing the letter without anyone coming in. All the fellows stayed above at the cross where the pattern used to be formerly to start a pattern, and any girls did not come to them. The Roos were south on the hill, and they did not come over at all, or the Johns girls did not come either. They would come very willing if we commenced it for them, but the fellows were vexed, and so they went away west to Bonfoon Road bowling. Jerome John was asking me about the letter, and about all the folks over, and the Slippers laughed enough at your letter, and so did Johnny Bond laugh enough. He sprained his shoulder coming home from Lep Fair, and he could not do any work yet. He spends a part of every day with us when we do be going east cutting grass, and he gives some of it to Mother. Well, Nora, the gardens are growing splendid as yet. The stalks in the lower garden are as high as the fence, and the other gardens are promising very good. Also, tell Ellie that the part behind the house, where she was sticking, is the best part of the garden. I guess she remembers that morning she stuck it. Nora, it is talking about you we will be forever again, and thinking about you and Ellen also. I am very glad Delia Collins and Katie are such good company for ye, Nora. Make yourself at home with them. James E. Donovan sent a second letter 3 weeks ago. He is with his cousin in Lowell, and Maggie McCarthy was to see him the first night he went there. She did not write to Mrs. McCarthy Lepp at all. She says, I suppose you will do the same as Maggie did. I am surprised why Ellie did not write a few lines to me and send me her address. You did not send me your own address either. Well, Nora, the baby hair is lovely. Mother kissed it when she got it. I think that it is more like the Guinea one than Mary's. Uncle Michael got a letter from Newport yesterday, and John Mahoney and wife and family taken in one picture. 8 in family, 4 boys and 4 girls. They looks nice. Nora, I suppose it is no good for me asking for your picture. Still, I expects it. Dear Nora, I knew well Mary would not like the picture. Perhaps I would never again get an opportunity of taking it again. I would not that time either, only for the woman being in Lep. Did you know Katie O'Callaghan of Union Hall, Jack of Castlebyre's sister? She was buried last Thursday in Kilmackabee. She is a big loss, because she got £400 of fortune this time 3 years. She was an only daughter. I will send you the Star. You can read all about the funeral. I wonder why Mary did not continue sending the papers. Jerry Hayes is not anything better yet, but Johnny Bryan is walking out a little now. He was very ill when I wrote you the last letter. Dear Nora, Your flowers are growing grand. The geraniums are flowered now. Mother takes great care of them for your sake. The southern wood is nearly as high as the window. I did not know they were there at all until about a week ago when I saw them there. Nora, tell me, is there any other girl in the house where Ellie is, or how many in family there, or what family they are? Tell me everything. There was a letter from Johnny John last Sunday. He was 11 days sailing and 2 days seasick. Nora, I guess the heat is terrible in America now, as it is very warm here. It is the loveliest summer we had this good while. Tell Ellie that Annie Callahan is matchmaking with Paik Mahoney. Gem boy. It will be made too. Her trunk was sent to her from America a week ago. They have no notion of going back again. We received no letter from London since, or from Denny either. Hoping you will write when you hears from Denny and tell us all about him. I am glad you had such good time with Dan. I suppose the baby can talk very good now. Bad Horahane can't talk yet. John is going to be confirmed in 2 weeks' time. The bishop is going to come to Lep. William Dick did not go away yet, but Thomas has gone off to England. He beat Thomas Herlihy before he went. Patrick Williamson has gone off to Brazil in a boat from Newport. He will be back again for Christmas. Nora, Hannah Collins and her sister Maggie are going to America in August. Her father got £90 after Mikey's death. Hannah is going to come to Nori Hegarty 4 weeks before she will go, and Maggie Horahane is coming home for August. Patrick Horahane sent a letter and money about a week ago. All the friends and neighbors are very well. Tatey is not at work at all this past fortnight. He is running in my hills every day. They are in their own bog today, Monday, and I must go with the dinner to them now. They are taking bog stuff. We will have the My Hill Thursday. We will regret you that day to carry the dinner to the bog. James Hayes comes into us often. He asked Tatey in his My Hill. We are great friends now. I was not able to finish this letter yesterday evening because the slippers came in when I was writing it. So I stopped writing it. Then they told me to tell you everything as you inquired about the cat. Just last Friday night, Denny Gallivan brought us a young little kitten. We had not a cat until then. Well, Nora, I could hardly get enough paper to tell you all I have to say to you. If I could only speak to you now. All our hens are dying this past week. Did you take care of the chickens for Dan after landing? Has he got many? Nora, I don't know am I putting the right address on the letter or not. Well, I guess I won't say any more this time. Hoping to hear from you soon again and tell me lots of news. We all joins in sending our best love and blessings to ye all. All the neighbors wishes ye well. Remember me to Delia Collins. We speaks of her often. I suppose Ellie won't write at all to us. Remember me to her. I have no more to say, but write often. Goodbye from father, mother, brother, and sister. I remain your own fond Katie McCarthy in Ballinlough. My dear sister Nora, just a few lines in reply to your most appreciated letter, which I received a few days ago. I am glad to hear you are all enjoying that great blessing which is the health. Also Mary and Ellen, Dan and Agnes, as this state leaves us all quite well, thank God. Well, Nora, I am glad you have such a nice time over there. Hoping you will enjoy yourself always, and Delia also. I thought I would have a letter from Ellie and Delia before yours, but indeed, I got left there as I kept watching for the postboy, as usual, you know. Well, Nora, I was speaking to Julia Hayes yesterday, Wednesday. She is staying into Mike Mahoney at Lep. She knew me by Mary. She is coming up here on Sunday next. She told me to tell Mary she is going to sail on the 9th of August. That's Friday. She said she promised Mary to write to her, but she did not have any particular place to stay, so she did not mind writing she is going to Haverhill. Mrs. McCarthy is very glad to have an account of Jack, as she thought he was dead. She expects a letter from Ellie now. I have no news to tell you this time, except that Ellie Driscoll is home, and Tady Rick is home, and Julia Coughlin also, and Patrick Lawler, the judge. He is staying at Mrs. Keenan's. I heard he sent for all his friends to go to see him. He would not go to the houses at all. He is a great gentleman. Well, Nora, you wanted to know the relation of Annie Deasy and her husband to each other. Annie and her father-in-law are second cousins. That leaves them second and third. They are near enough to one another. Your comrade Ellie in England is engaged since June. I know you will be surprised. Well, Nora, we are really sorry for poor Mary Keene, or what will her children do? I'd know, is there any chance for her? I am very sorry you are out of your place, as it was so near Mary's, and you having such nice times. I hope you will keep on improving as you are getting stout and fat. Kick up good times always for yourself, wherever you will be. Don't anything trouble you. I am sorry you pay so much taxes for my letters. I wonder what the cause of it. I won't send so much paper anymore, but I have lots of stories to tell you this time. I need a good deal of paper. Well, dear Nora, I'll commence at them, and I know you will be sorry for them. Yesterday, Johnny Bond was buried. He was as well as ever he was a week ago last Sunday, until about 11 o'clock Monday night. He got a stitch in his side, and he lived until last Monday night. He died about the same time that he was taken sick. The doctor said it was congestion of the lungs. Well, Nora, just imagine in your mind, what will his poor wife and 5 children and his father do? It's a sad case. I am really very sorry for him. I was to see him Monday evening, and certainly, Nora, I could hardly look at him when I thought of how he used to be before, and to see him that time. Still, he knew me and called me Katie, and asked me how I was getting on. Again, dear Nora, one case is bad until the next comes on. Last Sunday, all the Lep people went boat into Baltimore in a fishing boat. So when they were returning, some of them threw turpentine on the fire, so the boat took fire and there was 9 lives lost. They did not have patience, and if they did, they would all be saved. I'll just mention them to you. Big Den, the father of 9 children, and Katie, Jack, Mikey, and Dan Callahan. All the nice Callahans, Nora, and Wheatley Burke, and Tommy Collins at the Quay, and a little girl of the Kellahairs from Glandore, and a boy of the Hurleys from Cork Road. Them are the 9. Just think, Nora, what will that mother do that parted them 4 fine family without a single being to give her drink of water? And Charles and his wife depended on them also. I'll just tell you who came safe. Charlie Connolly and Charlie Hurley, and our postboy and sister, and John McCarthy and Katie Harnedy and Ellie Hurley, that's Big Den's sister-in-law, and Tommy Collins' brother, Mikey. And I don't recollect who were the others, but there was 27 in the boat and 18 came free. And if them that were drowned had patience, they would be safe also. They shouted when they saw the fire first, when the Coast Guard took out a boat to them, and while he was bringing them ashore, he told the others to stay where they were until he would come back for them. So Jack Callahan threw out the smack boat they had with the big boat, and Big Den and his own brothers and Katie and William Burke jumped into it, and it began to leak, and it turned, and it drowned every one of the lot. So them that stayed in their burning boat were saved. So Katie Callahan came ashore on Tuesday and was buried last night about 9 o'clock in Kilmackabee. We went to my Ross and Johnny Bond's funeral, and we were back in Lepp for 6 o'clock, so we waited for the other funeral. Then it was 8 o'clock when it came into Lepp from Baltimore. Father O'Callahan celebrated Mass in the harbor, and Father Fitzgerald celebrated Mass also. And while Mass was celebrating, Katie Callahan appeared in the harbor. She never sank because she wore the scapula. She was just as nice as when she was alive. Her shoes were on her, and even her hat was on her head. So any of the others were not taken yet, and I guess hardly if they will either. Oh, dear Nora. Isn't it terrible and sad? Anybody is not able to do anything, only thinking and talking about them. Lepp is in a gloom. And poor Big Den that used to call you Susan. I am very sorry for them all. Dear Nora, I am sorry to be sending such bad news, but I knew you knew the parties. I hope you will send your picture as soon as you can. I am glad Ellie looks so well. I did not answer your last letter at all because I did not feel like writing. I haven't been very well at all, Nora. I was better when you were home, and Mother gets her old complaint every day. That is a pain in her heart. She thought she was rid of it until it commenced with her again. Tim and Father are just the same. All the friends and neighbors are well. Jerry Hayes will never bend his leg. This is a dull place now, Nora. Perhaps I'll send you the paper for Saturday. You can read all about the sad news. Well, I guess I've said all this time. Remember us all to Mary, Ellie, Dan, and Delia, and kiss Agnes for me. I wish I had her here now. I remain your fond sister, Katie McCarthy, Ballinlough. My dear sister Nora, just a few lines in reply to your letter and picture. The picture looks exactly like you, but you are not jolly looking at all like I was accustomed to seeing you. Mother and I cried our eyes out when we had seen you and you could not speak to us. Mother was calling you and telling you to pull my head like you used to do at any surprise always. Father was reaping with Curly Horahane that day, and we showed him the picture when he came home. We said it was Katie from London, and he kept looking at it for a long time, and he said she was a nice girl. He said then she was Ellie. So we gave him his spectacles, and he's seen it better. Well, he says, she is Nora. And the tears rolled down his cheeks when he could not speak to you. Just thinking of how you used to be to him, and you could not make any shape for him that time. Ellie Driscoll would not know you at all. She said you were like Mary. Ellie looks just the same. She is fat and strong. She is going back on the 15th. She is very tony. We can hardly understand her speaking at all. She has told us more stories about America while she is home than our own Yankee while she was with us. I wish you could hear her speak about the Sullivans. She spent the week with them. I mean Nora's people-in-law in the parish of Ballydehob. Capabeg is the name of the land. She travelled Ballydehob, Schull, Lowerton, Mount Kidd while she was up there, and she had invited them down and hired a car in Skib and took them to Castle Townsend, Raneen, Unionhog, Landor, Ross, and back to Lepp and into Skib again. That was something like a drive. She had £1, 10 shilling lost by the day, and Nori was mad for her to have her be losing the money. Herself and Nori can't agree at all. Hannah Collins and Maggie are gone off to America, and John McCarthy Lepp will be going with Ellie Driscoll. Mary Horahain is home also. Jamesy Hurley, our former postboy, was burned to death in England, and Pat Dennis was buried also since I wrote to you last. I like to tell you all the newses. Well, dear Nora, we are going to have a wedding in our parish church on Saturday next. A couple from Craig by the names of Willie Wolfe and Mary White. I guess you know them. And there is an increase in the population of Bonfoon since last Monday. There is a young son born for Con Horahain. His name is Daniel, and Julia McCarthy and Jack Horahain are sponsors. She is very well and strong. And Jamesy Keene's wife is after being delivered of twins. Their names are Dan and Michael. She ain't very strong, the poor thing. And Peg Pohane have a young son. Now, Nora, haven't I lots of newses for you, like you used to bring from Lepp long ago for me? Well, I think it's time for me to say something about my dear little Agnes that's so often speaking about me. I hope she is well. I am so glad that somebody speaks about me, because my name will soon be forgotten. Hope and Agnes will renew it always. I hope I will receive her picture soon. I am glad you have such good times, Nora, always at Dan and Mary. It is too bad you are not working, or what will you do for the winter? Mother is very troubled about you, Nora, as you are idle. It is a bad time you went there. Dear Nora, Mother is very troubled about Mary Keene, or what came over her at all. She'd like to get her picture if he could get it taken. She told Den about her. Little Den said he got no letter from you. Ask her if she would like to come home. The place is not thriving very well for our friends. Well, Nora, we were surprised when we heard that BC got married again, hoping it's all for the better. Well, I guess I have all the newses told you. Only for you being writing so often, Nora, I would not live. I always keep thinking about you over there, and I do be dreaming something about you and Ellie every night regular. Remember me to Ellie. You did not speak of Delia at all. Well, dear Nora, I expect I won't write many more letters to you. I never felt so bad in my life. I have myself given up. Nora, you remember that evening long ago that the two of us was talking by the fireside? That Dan Sweeney came outside on horseback? You can remember what we were talking about, that troubling me always? And I never visited any doctor since. But I am advised by people to go to the infirmary in Cork. But Nora, you know it's hard for me to be traveling. Anyhow, I am going to Dr. Somerville this afternoon. Mother and Tim are going with me. I will mail this letter on my way. I have no more to say this time, hoping it won't be long before I hear from you again. Excuse the scribble, the pen is bad, and besides, I don't feel like writing. We all sends best love to Dan, Mary, Agnes, Ellie, and yourself. I remain your fond sister, Katie. My dear sister, Nora, Just a few lines in reply to your welcomed letter, which I received on St. Stephen's Day. Gave us all great pleasure to hear you and Ellen and all the friends are well in health, as this date leaves ourselves the same as usual. I must tell you that I did not enjoy Christmas night or Christmas Day a bit too good. I was so lonesome, as I had no letter received until St. Stephen's Day. About 12 o'clock, the postboy went around. The mails were delayed because of a flood. The train could not run. We had some terrible weather for the past week. Rain fallen in torrents and storm continually day and night. Anybody could not go outside doors on Christmas Day. We often mention the good time we had that day 12 months on the top of the hill. Well, Nora, I must tell you how I spent Christmas night. Nora Hegarty's son come over for me to spend a part of the night with them, and I'd prefer to be at home, but all excuses would not do. I should go with him, and he had a jar of whiskey for the night, and he would not leave me home until 10 o'clock, so Tady should go to meet me. Well, he is the nicest and the freest man that ever lived, and any day he is going to have a nice dinner, he will come for me. He speaks of Haverhill quite often. He was there twice to see Pat Lawler some time ago. Well, Nora, all the fellows around went to Lepp on St. Stephen's Day, and we never knew anything until we heard the noise coming across the river about 5 o'clock. And what should it be, only all the fellows coming, and they had a donkey cart and a half-tierce of porter. They made it up in Lepp, and Nora Hegarty's son put 3 or 4 shillings in it, so they got a cart from Patsy Cal, and they drove it up before them just like Shrove Tuesday. So they had a jolly time while it stood. But we had no girls, only Julia and me, because they came unexpected. But the Yankee promised to me and Julia that he would give us a drive anywhere we like. So we are intended to take a trip to Cork on St. Patrick's Day. There will be an excursion that day. We will get a return ticket for a half-crown. So we are making up for to go. I'll tell you the company. Tim Driscoll, that's Nora Hegarty's son, and Dan Murnane, and Mary George, and Julia, and Patrick, and Mick, also, if he can have the money, and Tady, and me, and William, and Dennis Slippers, and we're going to have Ellie Hurley in the Melodeon, and Julia and me are going to wear hats going up. It's no joking. We have our minds made up for it if we can afford it for that time. I am glad you had such a good time, always hoping you will keep so. I am also glad to hear you are situated again. I suppose it is hard on you to be rising so early. I'd like to know how many in family in the house, or is there any other girl in the house? Delia's father got £2 from them. There is lots of money after coming across this Christmas. I hope ye had a jolly Christmas together. We drank a health to ye all on Christmas night, and so did Nora Hegarty. I hope you will write to me and tell me all about how you enjoyed the Christmas, and what's your opinion on our trip. Well, dear Nora, this place is just the same. Anything would not change it. I have no news to tell you this time except that Father Fitzgerald was buried a week ago. I will send you the paper so as you can read about the funeral. And Aunt Julia got her chin bone broken. She fell on the rock going to Lepp. The doctor dressed it. I guess she will hardly ever again be any good. Paddy is father of a young son by the name of Henry. All the other friends are all quite well. You know in the next letter how he is. We did not get any letter from London since he went, or from Denny either. Let us know if ye heard from him. Dear Nora and Ellen, we can never return thanks enough for your Christmas present, as it was very good for poor Ellie after all her expenses. Father is twice the man since he got the letter. He is very thankful to ye for sending the money. Mother is going to Lepp now, changing it, as I don't feel like going myself. As I was to Mass yesterday, and I'm not well since last night. I feel tired. Well, I guess I have said all for the present, hoping to hear from you soon again. Danny Murnane is with us since Christmas. Well, dear Nora, I have a news for you that Mary Collins is going to have a young one after all, and Ellie Bugclounties is gone to the infirmary with 2 weeks, and she is better too. I must conclude for the present by wishing ye all a happy new year. We all joins in sending our best love and respects to you, Ellen, Dan, Mary, Agnes, hoping to hear from you soon again. Wishing ye all a happy new year and good many of them. Goodbye to all. I remain your fond sister, Katie. My dear sister Nora, yesterday I received your letter. I'm very glad to hear such good intelligence from you all, as the state leaves ourselves just the same as usual. Dear Nora, I was in great hopes of my health when I wrote you last, as I was very strong that time and doing everything, and I used to clean up my house every Saturday, and I did not care anything about it. But I don't feel strong now at all. I feels my heart very weak, and my bones also. I was not able to go to Mass for the last 3 Sundays. The cough increased also, not much in the day, but I'll get a good fit in the night, and after that, I'll fall asleep and be dreaming about you every night regular. I am intended to go to the dispensary tomorrow and get a ticket from the doctor to go to the hospital where I'll get nourishment. We've got plenty of tea. We got a parcel of tea from Mike Cahalane from Newport. He's coming home again, but we are drinking the tea without colouring since Christmas. The cow won't calf until June, and the goats won't kid until 20th April. Dear Nora, I have lots of news to tell you. If only I could now. Everyone in the parish south got married, too numerous to mention. Gil Hooley got married to the Keoane girl from Derry, and Mickey Bryan's daughter Mary is married to Big Willie Deasy, and her brother Tady got married to Birchill girl from Braid, and Michael Connolly Corrin to marry Tade, and Mike Driscoll Mutrahane to Ellie Hurley Keelfeeding, and Mary Wycherley Ross to Den Donovan Barley Hill, and GW, her brother, to a girl from Clonakilty. Mary know them. And James E. Fitz Ballinclough to Mary Shanahan Bruley, and little Jer Carthy Cap to a Cullinane girl from the quarry. I am glad ye heard from Denny. I am proud of his increase. We would be very glad to hear from him. We got no letter from London since the morning ye left, or I did not go to Skib either since. I'll send the address I have myself. Mrs. Kiley, 45 Clifford Road, Hermit Road, Cannington, London, England. That's the address I've got. And Johnny George address is 103 Elm Street, Lawrence, Mass. That's the last address they had from him. I could not get Noni Hayes' address, or they did not ask for yours since either. Dear Nora, I don't know what to say about Tim. Father and Mother is consulting about it now. I'd wish you could hear them now. They are crazy. Tim is not home at all. He is in Clonakilty today, and all the lads looking at football playing. He told me yesterday to tell ye send it. It was a very queer thing for you to speak of taking him out for another year, whatever, because I'd surely be buried before Christmas again. And if I wanted the priest, who will bring him to me? Or who will bury me? Sure, it is not an old, stooped, crippled father that could hardly move that would do it. And Mother again ain't well. Danny Murnane is working near Skibbereen, and he is going to get Tady in at work there. And it would be better for ye not to mind him this year. Sure, ye lose £11 by him now, and they would rather help us on a little more this year to get over them few debts, and that bank is coming in on the 20th April. Now, of course, your £4 would do lots of good to us, only for the debt. We must give £1 to the rent, and £1 to Paddy Cathy for the bog. He has a process warned to us for April, and £1 for Parkcon Crown for garden. He was taking it from Johnny a few days before we got the letter. So Johnny would not give it without it in hand, so he had it given over. He could not make up the money. So now, Honoria, where is it? Gone. My heart is broke to see it going like that. But what would we do, only forgetting it? We must bring a half bag of flour for the other one. Don't show this letter to anyone in the world. I'm only telling you, as I know you have all but them forgotten. Dear Nora, Mother went out this evening picking shamrock. I don't know, is it right or not? I hope you will have it in time. Mother tells you if you can have £1 spared for the 20th April to send it for the bank. There is a fright in the poor thing that it should be here for the 20th. We cleared it last year, but it was taken again to pay the other bills. All the other friends and neighbours are well. I have no more to say at present. Write soon again. We all joins in sending our love to Mary, Dan, Agnes, Ellie, and especially yourself. I am your fond Katie. My dear sisters Nora and Ellen, I received your letter on Saturday last. Am glad to hear ye are all well, as this day leaves us just the same. Well, it was almost time for Ellen write a line with 12 months, but I could never make off her address. I hope you will send it to me correct. I am glad you all enjoyed St. Patrick's Day, as I did not enjoy it very well myself. I am in the hospital for the past 5 weeks. I just come in the day I posted the last letter to you. So, the first evening I come in, the nun told me I was incurable and that I was in consumption, and Tady was gone back home that time. So I said if she had told me that in time, that I would go back home again. So she told me stay in the bed the following morning until the doctor would come. So he sounded me and he said my right lung was gone, but my left was all right. So I am here since, and I am not anything better. But Mother comes to see me quite often. But she was here last Saturday, and she brought your letter, and I got surprised this morning when Mother and Father come in to me to write to ye. Tady was vexed Saturday, as he had not got his passage in this letter. He expected it, so it was he sent them back here again to tell me send it to him in a hurry. He said he would not work a day here, so Father and Mother have their minds made up to leave him go. But as he is anxious to go, let him. He says he won't take any clothes with him, only the ones he have. He is after buying frieze trousers, and that's what he will take with him. I have no more to say about him, only send him the passage. Mary Collins have a young son. His name is Patrick. I have no more to say at present. Goodbye to all. Mother and Father are waiting for the letter, so excuse the writing. May God bless and love you, Nora dear. Goodbye. I am Katie. The money is all right. Ballinlough Lep. Dear Sister Nora, I received your letter on Monday last. We are all very glad to hear ye are all well in health, as we were just getting uneasy about you, as you were so long without writing. I hope you will write oftener in the future and tell us all about the newses. He did not say much about Tim or how he likes the country. Mother is very troubled about him for fear he don't like being there. We are very sorry he has such a hard job for the first time. I hope himself will write soon to me and tell me all particulars about himself. Dear sister, I have no news to tell you this time, except that Danny Connolly was home since I wrote to Tim. He only stayed 2 weeks. I did not see him at all. From Lepp to Glandore he spent the time. He is a great gent. And tell Tim that Tim Daley is home again. He was homesick all the time while he was in America. He speaks very bad of the country. Jerome Paddy is loafing also. He wrote home that he had not a cent in his pocket. It's a bad time all the fellows went out. It's greatly with the DCs how they are increasing. Dear Nora, I suppose ye have the great heat in the country now, as we think this country very hot this summer. The potato crop is splendid this year. Father and mother are better. Mother don't get the pain now at all. She has a lamentation every morning about ye all. She makes me feel bad. I am not a bit better myself. Getting weak from day to day. I could not go anywhere. It's beyond my best to walk west to Uncle Michael's, so you see how weak I am. Don't you be troubled a bit about me. I hope Ellie is well. I was dreaming about her last night. Remember me to Tim, Mary, Dan, and Agnes. Hope they are enjoying good health. Well, Nora, I guess I have not much to say this time until you write again. Hoping it won't be long. Goodbye to all from Father and Mother and myself. I am your Katie. Write soon. Dear Nora, I forgot to tell you that Mary Bennett at Lepp was buried, and old Charles the Smith also. I don't think any more died. And another story I have to tell you, that big Patrick Deneen is gone away and no account of him and Julia. Peter Driscoll Clunkeen is going to have a kid after him. That for misfortune. I have no more news this time. Write soon again. Goodbye. I don't like to have Tim go at all if I could. My dear sister Nora, I hope you will excuse me for not writing sooner, but we did not get the money changed for 8 days, and I did not like to write until we would see everything all right. Excuse me also as I did not answer your last letter. I said Tim's letter would do. I hope ye are all enjoying good health anyway. We are very thankful to ye for sending the money, as it was badly needed. The same as usual, spend beforehand. Tim did not act very good after all. I guess he is able to spend it himself, out of sight, out of mind. Well, dear Nora, you asked me about home affairs. I should think you should not have them forgotten yet. They are just the same. We pays a part of the rent to everybody when we gets the money always, but the bank is without paying yet £7. We are going to pay in £2 next Saturday, and in February, it will be in again. We have the cow and the horse still. She does nothing for us only to have a drop of milk. That's the way we are trying to live. Dear sister, and all of ye, it is hard for me to tell ye that it is in my deathbed I am trying to write this letter rather than ask a stranger. I was anointed yesterday, so I guess I will never again rise. I am expecting the doctor today. The priest told me to bring him. I am troubled with the diarrhea for the last 8 weeks, and I am spent away to nothing. I am awfully weak. I have no news to tell you this time, but Minnie Bryan is married to Danny Conn after all. Mrs. Hayes from Bruley was to see me last Saturday. She stayed the night. If he writes for Christmas, write in time to poor Mother, as I know I won't be before it. I won't write any more this time. I feels tired. All the friends and neighbors are well. Give my love and blessing to Mary, Dan and Agnes, Ellen, Tim, and especially yourself. Write soon anyway. Goodbye to all. I remain your loving sister, Katie. Father and Mother sends best love.